That's right. And we started it last February. So we got a recovery that doesn't exist. We got the Treasury and the Fed in serious trouble. We could be rid of the Fed by the end of the year. That could happen. We're looking at real inflation right now at 8.25%. It'll be over 14% by the end of the year, just what's in the pipeline. We're looking at 22.5% real unemployment. And John Williams' figures 22.7%. It'll be 25% by the end of the year, even with the stimuli that's in the economy. And I think the president's going to get another $400 or $500 billion to stimulate the economy going into the election. And so that's going to create even more inflation. Gold and silver, they've had their correction. That's normal. And they're going to go higher again. It's the only safe place to be with your money.
Yeah, Damon Vickers even agreed with that last hour. It seems like anybody with half a brain knows gold and silver is the place to be because it's not a bubble, because gold hasn't even gotten to half of its 1980 inflation level.
I buy every 2 or 3 weeks. Believe me. And you people out there should be doing the same thing. And if you're not, you just don't get it. And if you can't, please try to get dehydrated and freeze-dried foods in a water filter and be able to defend your family. And these are very important things because we don't know where this is all going. I mean, we might get lucky and clear out half of the crooks in Congress in the next election. We may get rid of the Fed. And if we do, we got a shot at getting our country back.
If we can identify the real enemy. It isn't Obama. Sure, we want him out. But it's the people that run him and the Republicans. We've got to get rid of the bankers.
That revolving door between Wall Street and Washington, it's got to be shut down. There's plenty of bright people all over the country who would be happy to be Secretary of the Treasury or the Assistant Secretary of the Treasury, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need Wall Street running our country.
And once you've identified the bankers and how they wreck things by design, when we kick them out of power and they try to sabotage the economy and we have evidence, we just send the FBI march in to arrest them.
Give them the frog work, that frog walk they call it. And let's put them away where they belong. I mean, you know, they take kids who got too much dope that they're selling and give them 10 years. I mean, these guys have stole billions of dollars, billions, and none of them ever go to jail. We got to change that. We got to put them in jail. We got to have to confiscate their ill-begotten gains, and that would be used to get rid of the deficit.
Instead, the bankers are now positioning for excise taxes and sales taxes, and they have Glenn Beck and all the other Fox people saying the conservative thing is more taxes. Talk about a bait and switch. Yeah, well, it's not more taxes, it's less spending. And it's purging the system. Von Mises, von Hayek, Rothbard, that's the answer. Classical economics. Let's bite the bullet. Let's tell the people the truth. Let's tell them what these people have done to us. And let's suffer for 4 or 5 years when we could have only suffered for 2. But now we're going to have to do 4 or 5 years. And we got to pick ourselves up as Americans and make our country work again and get rid of these dreadful people. It's like getting off of booze. If you're drinking a half gallon of whiskey every day, it's going to hurt when you quit it. But if you don't quit it, it's going to kill you. Well, at the rate we're going to see real estate prices, residential, down another 10 or 20% this year. You should see what's coming down the line in these option arms. The amount of money is 3 or 4 times what it was in these subprimes. On top of that, you have all of these homes that are in inventory that the banks won't put on for sale because there's too many of them out there. And it goes on and on. Commercial real estate, the banks will not lend to really good bona fide people who have bought these buildings because they've been told by the Fed, don't spend any money. Lending was down about 18% last year
by banks, 90% of which went to individuals and businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, that make up 70 to 90% of all the jobs out there. So you're not going to see any job recovery because the banks aren't going to lend, because they want to stay in business, and that's the way it's going to be.
Absolutely. Let's go to Jason in Colorado. Jason, thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. Two real quick points, and I'm sorry this is actually came to mind during Damon Vickers' segment, but the first, I can agree with some of the points Damon brought up, and certainly we do have problems worldwide, but what needs to be realized is that they are solved through inspiration of behavior, not controlling behavior. You do that, and bad things start to happen. And the second point I found pretty much a sick comedy was the fact that the New World Order and folks like them think that the sheeple, as they like to put it, are pathetic because they have a herd mentality. Well, I submit to them that they actually have a herd mentality as well, in the fact that they all coalesce around fear, trying to control everybody else, and trying to control the truth. And
all right, let me get a comment on that, Jason, from Bob Chapman. Bob?
Well, they're not controlling the truth, they're creating the truth. And that's part of this propaganda, information, disinformation, and this whole thing that's been going on since the 1930s in America. And it has in other countries as well. Germany used it during the war very effectively. And so what has to happen is that we have to take away from them their ability to do that. You might call it distortion. And that's very, very important, because if we don't do that, people will never understand what's going on.
The elites just rationalize all the things they're doing, and then most of the time actually work against what they claim their aims are originally. All right, thank you, Jason. Maury, Jeff, a few others will cram you in coming up. Then I've got the man from Able Danger, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Shaffer, coming up. You don't want to miss this.